Hello, YouTube. My name is Emmanuel Godfrey, and I am your host. Now, this being my very first video, so I decided to talk about a question that majority of us men keep hearing from time to time, and the question obviously is, who hurt you? Now, obviously, this is a channel which is dedicated to men, but I will also allow women to come on board and share their insights. Now, as a man, how many times have you heard a woman ask you this question, who hurt you? And this normally happens when you're talking about obviously relationship things, obviously gender roles, things like that. That's the time you'll hear such a question being asked. And as a man, you're probably asking yourself, like, why would she ask me that question? Like, why would she ask me that? So I'm here just to decipher why some of those questions are asked by women. Number one, as a man, you need to understand one thing. When you are in an argument, you are arguing from a point of logic, from a point of intellect, from a point of reason. And to a woman, she argues from a point of emotion. So many of the things that women interpret, they interpret them emotionally. For us men, it's a little bit different because we like to use logic when we are handling any situation that you're in. Okay, so case in point, let me use an example. Recently, we've been having very many gender wars as of the beginning of 2021. And many times you'll hear a man raise a very important reason or a very important point, and the woman will respond by saying, who hurt you? Like, what happened? What made you be like that? You understand? And the reason why they do that is simply because you have said something that has not coincided with their emotional part in terms of the whole argument, of course. And number two, obviously, is because they have no counter response. Now, as a man, anytime you hear a woman saying who hurt you, just know that she has no response whatsoever to challenge what you've just said. And that's the point where you need to like bow down out of the conversation. Just bow out of it, because anything you say after that, she's not gonna hear a word, because already she has blocked herself. She has reached the point of no return. She has just fired her last shot. You get me? So that's why they ask such questions. And of course, you need to understand women come into conversations from a point of emotion or how it makes them feel. You understand? Men use logic. You get? That's why you can say all the nice things to a woman and they are completely lies, and she'll buy into that because it makes her feel good. Okay? That's why women value validation, because it makes them feel good. You understand? It doesn't matter if it's coming from a person she knows or a complete stranger, it will make her feel good. And if you say something that she doesn't like, obviously you're going to have a fallout because you have already disrupted her flow of interpreting things emotionally. You get? So men use logic, women use emotion to argue in terms of any particular discussion they get involved in when it deals with both men and women. Now, women, you need to understand things that actually hurt men. One of them is obviously, if you're a woman and you're dating a guy and you cheat on him, he's gonna get worked up over that. But he's not going to release it emotionally to you. He's probably gonna move on from that situation, and yeah, that's it. But for a woman, it's a little bit different. Men don't just get hurt carelessly. You understand? Men choose the situations we get into. We choose the situations we get ourselves involved in. So getting hurt to us as a guy, us as men rather, it's something that doesn't really happen that much often. You get? But to you as a woman, that's something you're going to go through a lot of times. You get? Now, let me say the things which make men sometimes say the things they say that make women respond by saying, who hurt you? The things which actually make men appear hurt are, number one, if he has been raised in an abusive home where the mother was the one who's abused, this man might come off as a hurt human being. Of course, he will be hurt as he grows up because he has emotional wounds. Now, obviously, when he argues in terms of anything relating to both men and women, he's not going to use his experience unless need be. But just to make it clear, men get hurt through that. Okay, men also get hurt when their finances are not in order. And when I say hurt, I don't mean like someone broke their heart. I mean they get frustrated, they get worked up emotionally because maybe their finances are not in order and time is running out and they need to get some few things up and running and it's not actually happening. So those are the things that will make a man be hurt or appear hurt, as a woman will say. But it will not be reflected in an argument where he's using logic. You understand? So women will say who hurt you simply because they think that a man is talking from a point of emotional damage. But that's not the case. Okay. For example, the famous story that happened some months back where some radio presenters got laid off because of some things they said. They said some very logical things. But because those things did not sit well with women emotionally, women fired back at them with such statements like "Who hurt you?" and they also obviously came together as a group, which we all know now are called feminists, and they really made a big deal out of a very small thing which was said. I'm not saying the situation the lady was in was small, but what was said was not as big as they made it to be. And well, we all know the story as in terms of how it unfolded after that. You get. So women need to understand that saying who hurt you is usually the last straw. You have nothing else to say, completely nothing else. You don't have any argumentative points to put out. You don't have any logical explanation to what you're going to say next or even what you've just said. So you will say that as the last option. Now, women use that thinking that it will deter men from the logical point of view, but that never happens. Because again, men are logical beings. We need to be involved in situations which make sense to us. Okay, maybe it's a situation whereby a man doesn't spend money on you as a lady. You as a lady, you will say this man is stingy. But to the man, he's looking at himself and he's like, you know what? I don't really see any value in this woman for me to spend any money on her. You get? But you as a lady, you'll assume because he's a man and you're a woman, he's supposed to do certain things for you. And when he doesn't do that, you revert to saying statements like that, who hurt you, questions like that. And yet the man had a very logical explanation as to why he didn't do what he did. He didn't see any value in spending money on you. You asked him to buy for you maybe a phone, a car, he'd take you to a trip somewhere, and he just didn't see the sense in it because you're not anywhere close to the kind of woman he wants to have in his life. Maybe you're just someone he's having fun with. You understand? So he's not really seeing value in you. So when he pulls back in terms of what you expected him to do, you're obviously going to respond by saying certain things like, who hurt you? That's one of the things you're obviously going to say next. You get? So women need to understand one thing. When you say who hurt you, we understand as men that you are saying that because you have zero logical points to put out after what you've just said. You understand? And as a man, once you hear a woman say that, just understand this. She's talking from an emotional standpoint. She's not using any reason to talk to you in whatever it is you guys are discussing about. And that's the time you're supposed to get out of that conversation. It's a wrap. Now, it's very different from people who say that on social media. They're just gaslighting situations. They're just saying it for the sake of saying it because they have nothing else important to say. You get? So don't get yourself involved in such conversations because they will not benefit you or they will not come to any form of agreement. They will not bring any form of a conclusion that is actually beneficial to the person you're talking about or to the situation you're talking about. So that's the time you're supposed to just say, you know what? Hey, I'm done with this. Fine, you've lost, but I have won logically because I know what I'm saying comes from a well thought out process. You understand? So that's pretty much it. And find me in the next video. I have no idea when I'll post it, but I will post it. Peace.